Hey guys, welcome to this live session by Intellipaat. So in this session, the topic is how to become a cloud engineer with no experience. So I'll be giving you a lot of information about how you can become a cloud engineer, which is a majorly, it's a general role. There are various roles within a cloud engineer role itself. And we'll be looking into that and we'll be exploring the options. And even if you're from a different tech background, I'll be telling you how it is related with cloud and how you can start off with it. So before that, let's look into the agenda. So first, let's understand why to consider cloud computing, and then what are the skills you should have if you're getting into cloud computing, and then who's a cloud engineer. That is the main part of this session. And I'll give you a brief about the certification paths available and also how you can get started with cloud. And before moving on with this session, please subscribe to our channel and also leave a like if you haven't and if you like our content. That would help us a lot because we are pushing a video every single day for you guys. So now let's begin. Why consider cloud computing? So I just wanted to point out some facts instead of speaking something about the benefits, because facts speak louder. And over here I have a Gartner report which is showing that the spending on cloud computing is increasing in every sector every single year. So this was in 2018 and this is in 2020, and it will double in the year 2022. So you can see the increase is always there. There is no dip, there is no decrease. There might have been, but this is the best fit line. And over here you can see the increase in cloud spending is exponential and it's growing and growing every single year. And in 2021 it will be $26.7 billion for just infrastructure as a cloud. So these are separate services. You can see that there are 5 different services which they are talking about, and for infrastructure as a service it's going to grow up to $61.9 billion. And then cloud application services, which is basically Gmail or Google Drive, or it can be any cloud application which is running online. So any application which you look into online, for example OneDrive, or it can be even Facebook, even Instagram. So these are basically applications which you are getting access to and you're able to use it. But these applications are hosted somewhere in the cloud, and that's why they are called cloud application services. But normally they are just applications, but they are hosted in a cloud, so they are also called cloud application services. So in that criteria, the spending is going up to 126. Then in the next year, it's going to be $143.7 billion. So this is the estimated report. Now coming to Canalys report. So this I wanted to show because the major cloud providers, AWS, Microsoft Azure and Google, are leading the cloud computing revolution. So basically in this revolution, you can see over here in Q3 of 2019 and in Q3 of 2018, the growth has been 37%. So within 1 year, the growth has been counted and the growth is 37% in spendings. And over here, AWS still has the top spot. And in 2020, AWS has the same amount, it's 32%. Again, Azure has the same amount, around 15 to 16%, and Google has 7 to 8%. So they three are leading and the percentages are not increasing or decreasing that much. Yeah, so this, I just wanted to show that the cloud is growing and that's why you should consider cloud computing. You can check out other technologies as well, but if you're considering cloud or any other tools, I would suggest you to go with cloud computing. And then coming to other topics, so over here again some Gartner and Forbes reports. So over here Gartner has predicted that in 2020 95% of cloud security failures will be the customer's fault, not the cloud provider's fault. That basically means the cloud providers are improving their security. And over here 2022, the entire public cloud spending can go up to $331 billion according to Gartner. And again in Gartner 75%. So of the organizations using cloud services, more than 75% indicate they have a cloud first strategy. That is, out of 100 companies which they surveyed, 75 of them are saying that they're going to move completely to a cloud based infrastructure. And then even Monster tells you that it's a great opportunity to start off with cloud computing. You can go ahead and read this blog as well. And also cloud computing is crucial to the future of our societies. Here's why. And again, this is a Forbes article, you can go ahead and read this. So these are some of the articles, these are some of the facts which I wanted to put in front of you. One more thing is that the top major players are into cloud computing and are using cloud computing for their needs. If you take up Netflix, the biggest media streaming platform, they use AWS. Reddit uses AWS. Even Facebook uses AWS. Now coming to BMW, Samsung, Apple, these companies use Azure. And Google, obviously, Google, Salesforce, Cisco, they also use cloud networks. So all of the major companies are getting into cloud. And if you want a cloud job in a top tech company, you can get it if you have the right skills. So now I just wanted to show that if there are any jobs available in the location where I am. So if you just go to Indeed and check out if the keyword cloud computing is in any of the job descriptions which are posted in Indeed. So there are 2,940 jobs which have been posted in India. So this is particularly at that minute. You can check it later as well. And LinkedIn, it showed 3,000 plus results. So basically you can see over cloud computing, Google Cloud Platform. So this is into GCP. So cloud engineer is a generic role. It doesn't say that you should know only AWS or you should know only Azure or only Google Cloud Platform. It doesn't mean that. It's a generic role, but the company you're choosing for will be using one or two of those cloud services, and you'll have to learn those in order to get into that company. Okay, so we've seen that, and also this is one of the important facts everybody asks, that is the average salary. So as a cloud engineer, you will be earning around 6.8 lakhs per annum in India. So this is an average, not the highest or lowest. The highest can go above when you become a senior cloud engineer or a senior cloud architect. In US, it's $128,000, and in the UK, it is 60,000 pounds per annum. So now we've seen why consider cloud computing, because it's growing, the expenditure is increasing, the number of companies who are opting cloud is increasing, the salary is good, also the number of jobs available are also in abundance. Now, skills to have when you're getting into cloud computing. First thing is the cloud service provider. So you can learn any of these cloud service providers and then look for a job in a company who use that particular cloud service provider. So there can be a company which uses only AWS, or one company which uses only Azure, or only GCP. So now if you complete AWS and if you have all the skills necessary to become an AWS architect or an AWS cloud engineer, in that case you cannot apply to a company which is using Azure or GCP, because that might feel irrelevant even though it is the same service but a different company which is providing it. But still it'll feel irrelevant because there are some services which are different in AWS and Azure. So now you should look into a company which uses the technology which you know or which you have mastered. If you're already in a company which is going to shift to cloud, first get to know that which cloud provider they're going to start off with and start learning that, because within the company it's there you will get a better real-time understanding. So the first thing is that learn a cloud service provider. AWS, Azure or GCP, doesn't matter, all are really good cloud providers. Important services you'll have to learn, like EC2 in AWS, Azure App Services in Azure, and Google Cloud Engine in Google, and also RDS again in AWS. So these are some of the top AWS services, Azure and GCP services, which you'll have to get into if you're getting into one of these cloud service providers. Also, cloud architecture designing skills are a huge positive. That's it. You should be able to create a complete architecture if you are provided with a problem statement. Coming to networking, you should understand networking really well, because cloud computing is entirely networking. That's why they call it a cloud network. So now you should have obviously a very well understanding of how the cloud network works, and also the on-premises data center of your company or a local data center. So you should know how both of these works and how to connect them together. Also, you should be familiar with performance optimization techniques. That is, if you are using a particular cloud tool and you want to make it better, you should know how to do that. And also automating large configuration changes. If there are 1,000 servers, you should know how to update them without opening up every single server. You should know configuration management tools as well. So that comes under DevOps, but still learning configuration management tools or learning how to script is really important. Coming to Linux skills, 90% of the cloud servers run on Linux, and that basically tells you that you should have some basic Linux skills. For example, monitoring tools on Linux like top and a PS. So you should basically know the basic commands in Linux, how to navigate through it, how to basically open a terminal and all that. And also scripting, shell scripting. If you know shell scripting, which you can use to make repetitive tasks into an automated task, that would be really helpful because automating is a really important part in cloud. Coming to the next one, DevOps skills. So DevOps skills, at the very beginning, you don't need to start off with it. You can learn it later once you've completed cloud, because DevOps goes really well with cloud. And in any company who basically adopted cloud, they would have also adopted DevOps, because tools like Docker, Kubernetes, GitHub, Jenkins, they really go well with the cloud computing infrastructure. Also, you should know version control tools like GitHub, Bitbucket, Mercurial. So basically you should know the version control tool which your company is using. Also, you should basically understand how CI/CD pipelines work, and you should learn how to use them and create a pipeline which can automate the SDLC lifecycle. So you don't need to learn all of these DevOps tools at the beginning of your cloud career, but while going through it, you can learn it. Programming and database skills. As anyway, in the cloud infrastructure, you will be launching servers, database engines, storage, data warehouses. So you'll be launching various different services. So in this case, what you'll have to do is you'll have to have a basic programming language, basic programming knowledge, so that you can understand how to create an infrastructure which can support a certain project which is running on a certain programming language, for example, Python or Java. So learning these high level top languages can help you. Also, you should be familiar with databases like MySQL or MS SQL Server, because while launching database engines online in the cloud provider, you should understand what your company needs, and you should be able to create that on the cloud provider, and how to connect servers and databases using backend code. So you should basically understand code. You should understand SQL and how databases work. Coming to security and disaster recovery, this is basically a logical or an analytical skill combined with technical skill. First of all, you should have already set up your infrastructure as that whenever it fails, there is a failover which is ready to happen. That is, let's say you are having two regions, you are having your application running in two different regions. So now if one region fails, your application is still running in the other region, and you can back it up whenever the main region comes up. So access management skills, where you can create users and give permissions. So this is for security. You can create users and give them permissions so that they can only use the certain services and the certain tools which you have provided them permissions to. And also deep knowledge about disaster recovery techniques. There are so many different techniques which you can follow to make sure your application and infrastructure stays online all the time. You should be a master in it. You should understand how it works, and you should set up your infrastructure like that. Okay, so we've seen the skills. These are the 6 top skills which you should know before getting into cloud computing. Now, who is a cloud engineer? As I told you, a cloud engineer is a very generic role. There are many other roles within the cloud engineer role which we'll be talking about later. So now, who is a cloud engineer? A cloud engineer is a person who basically designs, architects, deploys, and also maintains the company's infrastructure, the cloud infrastructure. So there can be so basically you should be involved in all the process which is involved in cloud. So let's say your company wants to launch a new application which has to be hosted on the cloud. First, you'll have to plan it out on how to do this. Once you have planned it and they've given you a certain requirement for infrastructure, the cloud engineer should architect it. So now there are different roles. As I told you, these can be handled by different people who know different things. But as a cloud engineer, you'll be asked to do all of these. So architect it. Once that is done, you should be able to deploy the cloud service online, and also manage and maintain the cloud infrastructure of your company which is running. You should also be able to support it whenever it is needed, and also monitor how your infrastructure is performing every single day. This is the most generic explanation I can give out for a cloud engineer. So a cloud engineer is a person who basically maintains and manages the cloud infrastructure of the company and also designs and architects it. What are the requirements and skills for a cloud engineer? Job roles and responsibilities and the required skills. So these are two things we'll be looking into. So the skills we've already seen. So I'll just talk about the top 5 skills according to Indeed.com once we complete job roles and responsibilities. So I'm going to talk about 3 different cloud domains in the cloud engineer part. Over here you can see this is a cloud infrastructure engineer, this is a cloud support engineer, and this is a cloud engineer role. So there are 3 different roles provided over here. Now as a cloud infrastructure engineer, you work on escalated customer issues. So as in Cisco, you might have your customers and clients asking you for support in lab, which is basically in your system, or going to customer's site or a customer's company and helping them out with it. Also, you should know and how to work with DevOps solution to bring in a resolution for your client. You should understand and provide support for the cloud application environments on AWS which are running in the company. So this is a real job description posted by Cisco. I'm just explaining you what are they asking for. And you can see over here, manage or support existing tool sets. So they're asking you to know VPCs, EC2 instances, and also related services. So there is VPC, EC2, EBS, EFS, S3. There are so many different services within that area itself. So you should know all of that. So as a cloud infrastructure engineer, they're asking you to know AWS. They're asking you to know certain AWS services. They're asking you to know and also work with DevOps if you can. So you can see here, work closely with the DevOps team for managing next generation cloud-based platform or services. Also, you should work on customer issues to provide a solution to the problem. So this is a cloud infrastructure engineer. Now coming to cloud support engineer. In this case, they're asking you to be an expert in networking. So these are all networking terms over here: routing protocols, IP security, hyper secure shell network monitoring, also troubleshooting tools. And they're asking you to have experience in AWS, Google, Rackspace, cloud, experience with customers, that is fine. And they are also asking you to know a scripting language or a programming language like Java, Perl, Ruby, or Python. Also, how to manage full stack applications from the OS up through custom applications which are running in the cloud environment. So in this case, they are asking you to know 3 different cloud services, Rackspace as well, and they're asking you to have a good knowledge about networking and also programming language, and also how to manage full stack applications. So you can see the difference between these 2 job descriptions. So the thing is, you should basically look at the job description before applying for a job role, because what they're expecting can be different. You should find the perfect job role which suits the skill sets you have. If you do not have one skill from this, let's say if you don't have proper experience working on managing full stack applications, not a problem. You can still apply for this job role because you have all the other qualifications, and you can get into it and you can basically learn this part from the company, from working over there. Final one is over here, cloud engineer. So they're asking you to have relevant experience in public and private cloud. So AWS, Azure, and also Google Cloud. So in this case, they're asking for 3 different cloud services. So you can see that here it was only AWS and Google, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. They're asking for you to know web services, API, and scripting, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, Python, or PowerShell for scripting, and also configuration management tools to manage the servers like Puppet, Ansible, or Chef. So now these are 3 different job roles which come under the same generic cloud engineer job role, but completely with different job descriptions. So the main thing I wanted to tell you is your roles and responsibilities differ from the company because they might be using different cloud tools and different programming languages. So you'll have to adapt to whichever company you're getting into. Okay, so we've seen the job roles and responsibilities in 3 various job descriptions. Let's look at the top 5 skills which are asked in a cloud engineer. So we saw all of this, right? So now the top skill, what was the one common factor in all of these roles? It was AWS, Amazon Web Services, which is the most popular cloud service available right now with the highest public cloud market share. So most of the companies you also use Azure and GCP, but AWS revolutionized the way because they came in first and they made it cheap for companies to shift from on-premise to their cloud infrastructure. So now the top skill asked for in a cloud engineer job description is Amazon Web Services, and then comes Azure, and then comes Python, then comes Linux, and then comes shell scripting. So these are the top 5 skills which are looked for in a cloud engineer. So after showing all this, you would have gotten a basic idea of what you should know as a cloud engineer, because I also talked about the skills which you should have before getting into cloud, and I've also shown you 3 different job roles and responsibilities. So again, there are different job roles which I'm going to talk about. So now these are the most generic roles, and these are the skills, the top 5 skills which you can have, which will benefit you in any cloud role which you are getting into. So AWS, Azure, scripting, Linux, and Python can help you in any cloud role in any company you are getting into. Now coming to one of the important parts, that is the question most of you ask. So I work in this particular domain, so how can I get into cloud? So I work in .NET, how can I get into cloud? I work as a Linux or a Windows admin, how can I get into cloud? I work in tech support, or I develop middleware applications. I work in storage for a company. I work in ETL, or I work with VMware. So now there are so many different questions, there are so many different roles, and all of them want to get into cloud. So how you can do that? So that's what I'm going to give an idea to you about. So now if you talk about .NET, let's say you are a developer who uses C#. Now you want to get into cloud architect, and there is cloud developer. There are so many different job roles. Now some of these roles will ask you to have programming knowledge. Now coming to a Linux or a Windows admin, there is a cloud administrator job role available. You can basically, you're already experienced in administering local servers or local Linux and Windows machines, so you will have enough understanding of how Linux and Windows machines work, so that you can also administer cloud machines which are running obviously in the AWS or Azure data center. Now coming to tech support, you can get into cloud support engineer role. So over here, so this role you can get into. You can also get into a cloud infrastructure engineer role. Again, these are just generic roles. I'll be getting into it. So as a tech support person who knows how to deal with customers, how to provide them solutions. Now if you know cloud, you can basically combine your support experience with cloud and again get into cloud. So middleware, again, if you have middleware knowledge, again that is coding. If you have programming knowledge, again you can get into cloud. If you have storage knowledge, obviously one of the most popular tools which are used in AWS or Azure or GCP is their storage, that is S3 or Azure storage. Then ETL, again there are so many different ETL tools available on cloud. For example, if you want a data warehouse, you can get into Redshift. If you want a data pipeline, there is again a data pipeline tool in AWS and also in Azure, also in GCP. You can again get into that. So basically you can set up a complete ETL process, ETL pipeline in the cloud itself. If you even are from a ETL background, you can still get into cloud. Again, now coming to VMware, if you're working in VMware or any other cloud tool, again, VMware mostly deals with virtualization, and cloud basically uses virtualization to give you the servers. So again, you still have scope to get into a cloud role. So what are the top cloud roles? So whatever role you are in, let's say Linux or Windows admin, if you are a .NET developer, tech support person, a person who's working in VMware or middleware, storage or ETL. So the top role which you can get into is a cloud solutions architect or a cloud architect. So why will I suggest cloud architect for every single person? So to answer this question, it basically is that a cloud architect is the person who manages the complete cloud team in any company. So a senior cloud architect is the person who manages the complete cloud team. You can be a cloud developer, a SysOps admin, a DevOps engineer, or a cloud support engineer, or a developer, or you can work in, let's say you can work in the operations team, doesn't matter. If your company is using a cloud infrastructure, the cloud solutions architect or the senior cloud architect will handle the complete cloud team. So that's why it is the number one role which I will suggest for you guys. Whoever it is, if you are into any role, you can get into cloud solutions architect, because it is basically architecting cloud solutions and you can basically get into a job role which has your own expertise. For example, you can get into a company who use .NET, who basically create .NET applications, so that you can understand, you already know how .NET applications work, and you can create a cloud infrastructure accordingly. So if you are let's say a Linux or a Windows admin, I would suggest you to get into Cloud SysOps admin. But the first option I would give you is Cloud Solutions Architect. So once that is done, if you don't want to basically concentrate on just architect, if you want to get in, if you also want to develop, in that case, if you also like to develop, in that case you can go with cloud developer. Again, as a .NET developer or a Java developer or a Python developer, whoever you are, you can get into cloud developer role. So you should have the knowledge of developing, and you should also have the knowledge to create infrastructures in cloud. And cloud SysOps admin, so this is basically cloud administrator role. So you can have Linux or Windows, it doesn't matter. So most probably cloud systems, cloud companies who use cloud mostly use Linux servers. So make sure you know Linux servers up to a bit, you know how to manage them, so that you can get into cloud SysOps or cloud operations or cloud administration. And cloud DevOps engineer, so this role, cloud support engineer, I'll come at last to cloud DevOps engineer. So as a cloud support engineer, I already showed you the job description provided by Amazon. So again, I would say cloud support engineer is one of the beginner roles which you can get into. If you get into as a cloud support engineer, you can basically then move on to SysOps admin or solutions architect or a developer. There is scope for that, because you would have gained a lot of knowledge in this role about cloud and how real companies use cloud for their needs. And then you can basically move on to the next step. Now coming to cloud DevOps engineer, so you can become a cloud DevOps engineer once you become a cloud architect or a cloud developer or a SysOps admin. And then you can basically learn DevOps and learn how to implement DevOps with your cloud computing knowledge, and then move on to a cloud DevOps role. So now again, you might be having another question, that was the session was with zero experience, but in some of the job roles they will ask you basic experience. So the thing is, if you have complete zero experience in cloud or any IT background, I would suggest you to take up a job in, let's say, development or administration or support engineering. So anything, get a job in that. Take 1 or 1.5 years or 2 years to completely understand cloud and how the company which you're working in uses it, and then move on to a cloud role. Basically, you will have zero experience in cloud, and then you can get into cloud to learn more about it and earn more than what you get right now. And for that, the top 5 roles are cloud solutions architect, developer, SysOps admin, DevOps engineer, and support engineer. And you can get into a cloud from any role you are in. So if you have the skills, if you have the skill set to get into cloud, you can get into it. Okay, so we've seen all of this. We've seen the job roles. We've seen what is a cloud engineer, the top skills which you need. Now coming to the final part, which I'm going to take, which is basically the cloud computing certifications. So first, let me just talk about the top 3 certifications according to the top salaries paid. The first one is cloud computing certification provided by GCP for a cloud architect professional. So a cloud architect professional is a tougher certification than the associate certification provided by, let's say, AWS or even provided by Azure. So in this case, it's a little tough exam, but still, if you have the certification, you can get into a job which pays you more than what an AWS associate certification pays. But again, an AWS associate certification, not the associate certification, the AWS professional certification can get you more than this. So now coming to AWS, the top 2, so this is the number 1, cloud, Google Cloud Certified Cloud Architect, and the next 2 and 3 are AWS Certified Solutions Architect and AWS Certified Developer. So these 2 certifications get the most salary after the Google Cloud Solutions Architect Professional. So as a Solutions Architect in AWS, you can get up to 132,000. So this is the average salary. And as an AWS Certified Developer, you can get $130,000. So these are the 3 top paying job roles which are linked with a certification. So now let me give a basic idea about cloud certifications, and then let's move on. So I just wanted to talk about the certifications by using one single cloud provider certifications so that it would be easy to understand. So over here you have cloud practitioner. So this is the basic foundation. So every single cloud provider has a foundational course. For example, there is Azure, there is a course for foundation only. So there is, even in Google, even in GCP, they have a foundational course which you can go ahead and take up. So it's basically the theoretical understanding of cloud and understanding of all the services in AWS or Azure, and also basic lab skills or basic hands-on skills. And then comes the architect, operations and developer role. So these three we've already seen. I've explained to you about the job role as well. So these three certifications are related to those three job roles. So solutions architect professional. So let's say you already have 2 years or 3 years of experience working as a solutions architect. Then you can take up a solutions architect professional certification to basically become a senior or a manager for your cloud team. And then again, if you are into SysOps administration or development in cloud, then you can take up the next exam as DevOps engineer and you can get into DevOps as well. And also there are specialty certifications in AWS and every other tool. For example, there is DP 200 in Azure, which is basically for data engineers. So like that, there are some specialty certifications in each and every cloud tool. You can get into these specialty certifications once you take up one of these. There are no prerequisites, but I will still suggest you to go with one of the associate certifications and then move on to a professional or a specialty certification. So now these are some of the certification examples which I just wanted to show you. For more doubts about these, the top three are these. Obviously the top one is solutions architect. In AWS, Azure or GCP, the top certification or the top role is solutions architect. So if you have any questions, you can basically put down. We'll be answering them later in the session. How to get started is the last part of my session. So an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. So there are two ways you can basically invest your time or your money. So if you're investing your time, go ahead to intellipaat.com/blog. Check out all the blog content on cloud, learn more about cloud, and then think about what to do next. Once you get a clarity about what cloud is, what are the cloud roles available and how you can get into and what is your favorite part about cloud, then you can basically start off with it easily. Then YouTube, that is our YouTube channel, Intellipaat, you can go ahead and check out for AWS or Azure or GCP courses and start learning from our YouTube channel for free. Okay, so I've talked about all this, guys, and we've come to the end of the session. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. That would help us a lot, and also we'll be pushing more content every single day. Also, if you like our content, which we are doing every single day, please leave a like. And also, guys, if you have any queries, leave a comment down below, not in the chat. I'm asking for a comment down below. If you have any queries, ask over there. Even if you want the PPTs, please leave your email down in the comment section, or you can just comment down, I need the PPT. We'll be replying to you and you can reply to us back. And once we get your email, you can basically delete it if you don't want to put your email for a long time. Or you can just contact us at sales@intellipaat.com or go to our website intellipaat.com, and in the bottom right corner, you can start chatting with our chat advisor and we'll get back to you immediately. So, okay guys, I've come to the end of this session. So now my colleague will be starting off with their part of the session. So now you can basically put down your certification or your career guidance questions, any of it, and they'll be able to answer all of those and also give you a clear path and a clear understanding of what to do next. So thank you guys. Meet you in another session.